All right. I think we're good. I think we're all good, yeah.
Alrighty, y'all, we're ready to head into Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Take it away.
All right.
Hello, everyone. This is Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. I am riiyak. Commentators.
I'm a mistake to have on this couch.
Yeah. My name's Jamich.
I'm Dude.
So, yeah. I don't know if you guys can probably just introduce the game as we're getting started. We had a bid war for the file name. Do we have that decided?
There we go. Yes, we do. That takes a while to turn on. Let me find that tab. And it is Trav, T-R-A-V.
Trav.
All right.
Won that by $1.
Yo, let's go.
All right, Trav, you got your wish.
Congrats, Trav.
GG's.
You made it into the marathon.
The Legend of Trav.
GG's, Trav.
Yep.
All right, so I guess we'll kind of explain the backstory here as we get started, but the timer starts when I gain control of the character as soon as we see the graphics. So it's about 3 seconds after file select. So we good?
Looks like we're all good on time. Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
So right out of the gate, he's gonna set up basically a frame-perfect manipulation through this cave in an attempt to get a 50 experience P-bag on the 6th enemy he kills, which is going to make a lot of future stuff very much easier if we get it. Right here, we're gonna come back with the kill. Didn't get it.
It's hard. I mean, frame perfect tricks are so hard. There's a lot of categories in this game. I just start off the bat with a frame perfect trick, so.
So we're going to, yeah, go ahead.
Likely we'd reset there if we were doing PB attempts.
Yeah.
So this is going into bubble skip here.
Yeah.
All right, that looks like probably the small counter.
So a lot of runners will go get the shield before doing this, but we're actually going to get late shield on this route. So we skip that town down there. Beginning players will go down there, they'll get shield to help them through the first palace. So here we're coming up on a trick called bubble skip. So if you enter a tile that has a forced encounter on it, when one of these little buggers chases you down, you actually get the encounter from the monster rather than the encounter that's supposed to be on the tile. And those are always shorter. And in particular here, because we're on a path, there's no actual encounter. So it saves a lot of time over having to jump over a bunch of really dangerous cliffs. And now we're attempting the reverse bubble skip. Looks like we got it. So we will not see the bubble cliffs, which we didn't want to. Now we're entering into Palace 1. There's 6 in the Great Palace, so I guess 7 palaces in this game. And we do have to visit them all for this category, because this is the 100% all keys category, so we have to get every item, we have to get every spell, every heart and magic container, we have to get all the keys, and we have to actually use all the keys. If you do not have a key, you can ferry through a door without having the key. It's kind of like you fly through the keyhole or something. Now, if you do have a key and you ferry through the door, it will be consumed. But if you don't have the key, you can go through without using it. But we have to get all the keys before we go through the door. It's kind of as it was intended a little bit.
Yeah, being 100% all keys, you cannot ferry through a door without a key, and that is a disqualification.
So we're coming up on a few Stelthos here. And we are going to be paying very close attention to how we handle experience at this point. So we're going to hop over that Stelthos. The reason we're going to do that is because of the way the P-bags, the experience bags, drop. There's two groups of enemies. There's large enemies and small enemies, and they each have a counter. Every 6 enemies you kill will give you a drop within each category. The small enemies have a 1/8 chance of giving you a 50 experience and a 7/8 chance of giving you a blue magic jar, which refills 1 container of your magic. Big enemies will be 50% chance of 200 experience and 50% chance of a red magic jar, which fills all of your magic. So the reason we're skipping the Stelphos is because they're only 30 experience on their own, and some of the other enemies are 50. If we set it up so that we get a chance at a drop on the Stelphos, we're potentially elevating from 30 to 200 rather than 50 to 200. That's 20 free experience. So we're going to skip them a second time, and we'll actually kill them the 3rd time we go through.
That bot right there is called Danger Bots. Because it's kind of tricky to get under. He was nice to me this time, though.
The bots are one of the worst enemies for this game speedrunning. Like, they don't actually do a lot of damage, but they are positioned very precariously in ways that will cause you so much pain.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we mentioned this game is ridiculously hard yet. So I don't think we have yet.
And the one where my impression is that it's easier just to learn the speedrun than to play the game.
Both are very, very hard.
I think this might have been our first Iron Knuckle, and
Yeah.
as long as you aim for the head with those jumps, you get in a good rhythm and you can kill them pretty easily. Palace 1's not too bad. When we get to Death Mountain, that's where the game really picks up in difficulty.
With this all keys category, pretty much learning the speedrun is pretty much the whole game itself. So if you finish it, then you play the whole game.
And that means you get more time to enjoy this fantastic music along the way.
That's right.
The game has great music.
It does.
Some of the best on the NES library. Now we're finally gonna kill these guys, and we got a red jar because we didn't get a P-bag there, we didn't get a P-bag earlier, so we are already committed to an attack 3 run. We're hoping to leave this palace with attack 4, but we're gonna be doing it with attack 3, and we're gonna just be making up the difference as the game goes on.
Yeah, which will be kind of unfortunate, but I know Riot will be able to navigate and handle that, so...
So that's called Chewy Skip right there. As long as I'm already gonna have attack 3, no need to take him out, or we even wait for that XP.
So coming up on the first boss, usually called Horsehead. Gonna take a few more hits because we should be at level 3 by now, but we're not.
Take it easy.
Alright, and there's Palace 1.
So here comes a big bit of explanation about the leveling in this game. Whenever you clear a palace, your experience counter is going to fast forward up to that number that says next. So a lot of the run is going to be, we're going to leave the magic and life low, and we're going to go past those. We're going to skip leveling when it gives us the opportunity, and we're going to race getting attack as high as we can, and we're going to get 6,000-7,000 experience out of some of those gems by doing that.
Yeah, that's going to be really key in this early part of the game, especially when you're completing a palace. You're going to want to kind of have as minimal experience as possible, and then because when you beat the boss, you'll just get like the whole experience up to the next level. So, and trying to get our attack up as much as possible.
It does leave us a glass cannon for most of the game.
Yeah. Which is another one of the risks of just running this game, for how hard it is and that you're a glass cannon off the bat. So just that you're doing this is like very impressive.
So here's our first fetch quest. In every town except Shield Town, we need to get an item to complete a fetch quest, and here we need to take the trophy back from the gorilla. He's gonna throw toenails or bananas or something at us, but we don't really care.
A toenail banana.
So I got tinked while I was holding up the item. Will I explain that?
tinks are when you hear the tink is when Link blocks a projectile. This area, beginning area, is the northeast area of the western continent of the overworld, and there are 2 overworld timers for when the encounters spawn, and this northeast area I think only has one of the timers active, so it's easier to dodge enemies.
So I don't know if you could read the text bubble there, but we gave the lady the trophy and she let us into the cave to see the old man who's going to give us a spell. And this is going to be jump, which we need to progress any further in the game.
Yep. This is going to be kind of a theme when we go into towns, so look forward to that.
Towns are a good time for any donations that come in.
Yes. If you got them, it's a good time to read the queue. Maybe not. That's okay.
Pretty soon we're actually going to cast that jump spell. That'll be our first magic cast of the game.
Otherwise known as the Air Jordan spell.
We're going to hit an impassable cliff very soon.
This is riiak's favorite cave system, the jump cave.
Putting on the Air Jordans.
Yep, there we go.
How are we going to get up there? Oh,
Nope, nope. Easy.
They even left us a ledge.
first try.
Got lucky.
Now we're going to try to dodge those guys, and we're going to go find Bagu in the forest. If you played this game as a kid, you might have noticed the cryptic references to Bagu, and you might have seen I Am Error. And they were attempting to do a pun on error and bug. Bagu is a transliteration of Japanese for bug, but it just sounded like an actual error, so a lot of people got really confused by that. But we're going to talk to Bagu ahead of time, because once we talk to him, the bridge operator will let us through for reasons.
For reasons.
We are in the river town of Saria, which where you can pick up a mirror, which is needed to get a life spell.
Sorry is a familiar name. Reminds me of a time when I played an ocarina.
And Nintendo took all the names of the towns in this and made them the sages in Ocarina, and then later said, oh, Zelda 2 is later in the timeline,
Yeah.
so all the towns are named after the sages. We call that retconning.
Exactly.
We got Life Spell, which restores our life. Very useful. Even in the speed run, we're not exactly playing it damageless.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of us, anyway.
Yeah.
Someone is. Someone's down to 3 hits.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And we talked to the old lady there to refill our magic. An interesting thing about the magic refill is it actually overflows the gauge, so there's a lot. It's more magic than you can hold. So a lot of times if you take a magic refill, you can cast life immediately after taking it to fill up your life, and then your magic will keep refilling all the way up to max. It's faster than talking to the healing lady in town.
So much magic. What do I do with all it?
Each square of magic is 16 points, and I think the magic lady is what, riiyak 255?
The magic lady is 255, yeah.
So that's about 2 full gauges when you get all the containers.
Wow.
And this is what we mean by bots being a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So with attack 3 right now, riiyak is will have to do extra hits on enemies.
This is Death Mountain. This is where the game starts getting hard and doesn't really get easier.
the route through that mountain is pretty much go right until you can't go right anymore, and then take the next available cave.
Yeah, there's a key if you're ever playing this game casually. Just kind of keep going right.
Those axe guys are named Dairas, and yet they are a huge step up in difficulty enemy-wise. They cause a lot of trouble throughout this area. And because we're attack 3 instead of attack 4, we are going to have a little more trouble killing them before they can toss that axe, so we're going to have to play a little more defensive. I think we still got another couple of rooms of this, so this might be a good window if we have any donations or announcements.
Yeah, if we've got donations, definitely a good time for them.
Riiyak was hoping for a 200 bag drop there, but didn't get it.
Jar lets me refill at least.
So now we're mostly to the end of Death Mountain. We got one more room to go to get the treasure of Death Mountain, which is the hammer. And you're gonna be shocked to hear this, but in a Zelda game, it's an item that we need to progress.
So that was a beam ramp that you just saw.
You can fire the beam off one end of the screen, and it will come over to the other end of the screen and hit an enemy. Not a bean wrap, that's a completely different item.
Bean wrap would be good though. I mean, it's just essentially a burrito, right? Just a wrap, some beans on it.
On those pits, they got that one little spiky guy there just to, again, make your life just that much harder. Because you fall in the lava, instant death, you lose a life. You do get a certain number of lives in this, and I believe we'll be picking up more over the course of the run as well, but we need them.
Exactly. There's a little bit of optimizations you could do if you want to be really risky with kind of being, I don't know, you can like lose some of your lives and then kind of get teleported to another spot in the palace, but definitely going to be wise in this marathon setting to just keep that.
Yeah, there's a number of extra lives we can pick up, but if we die more than we expect, we could pick up extras, but
Yeah.
we don't want to go out of our way if we can avoid it.
Exactly.
I'm going to be saving a couple of lives just to be safe. But normally you use up almost all of them by the end in the normal speed run.
So another example of kind of how it's kind of a glass cannon kind of speed run. That's why you need to fill up with a bean wrap before it. A nice good bean wrap right there.
And we got the hammer, so we immediately use it to get a magic container. Which we need the magic container not just for the category, but for the run in general. So this little south area here, we're not going to see it, but if you look at the full map of Hyrule, that little area down there is actually the map of Zelda 1. It's stylized a bit to fit in this game's constraints, but you can line up the cemetery, you can line up the mountains, you can line up everything. So,
Yeah.
little Easter egg, and it's intended to convey the difference in scale that the two games are supposed to represent.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like Link's supposed to be a few years older in this game. It's actually a different Zelda too, so that's another thing. But yeah,
If I'm remembering correctly, in this game, Ganon's dead, but his minions are trying to resurrect him with Link's blood,
Yep.
which is, nice and morbid.
yeah, exactly.
But we need to prove ourselves worthy of recovering the Triforce and prevent that from happening.
Right. All in record time speed.
So we are manipulating the encounters there so that we avoid hitting any of them. Encounters are a huge source of time loss in runs. They kill PB attempts. If we have to take one, it's better to take one on the path than not, because it's going to be a lot quicker.
Yeah, definitely Mark's going to be taking a lot of optimized routing here, especially just to avoid these encounters. So it's going to lose like, what, 7 seconds at least, I believe, for each encounter.
But now that we have the hammer, we can enter this cave, which will let us get a fetch quest item. Just pick up another MacGuffin, which we'll take to another town to earn another spell that... I don't know if we need this one to progress, but most of the spells we do, but I think fire we don't.
Yeah.
But this is the medicine.
Out in the back of the cave.
And then when we come out of this cave, we're going to take a slight little detour, I believe.
Gonna stop and get a 1-up.
Yep, I'm going to stop and get a small doll of ourselves. That'll give us an extra life.
Nice box, by the way.
I don't know, I don't feel quite right actually singing the Archism. Okay, at your request, I will demonstrate it later.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Argus.
So we try not to get hit on the overworld. I did get hit coming out of the cave, so I stopped there and waited for them to spawn. That's a small manipulation so that I didn't get an encounter on the road tile, or the boulder tile.
I love this town music too. Real quick.
So calm.
Exactly. I feel like I'm just at home. So I'm going there.
I mean, it's a nice respite from everything that goes on in the overworld in this game.
Exactly.
So here we have downstab. The soldier tells us something we could never have figured out on our own, that we can hold our sword downward and we can pogo off people, and this opens up the combat tremendously for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Which is why we get this before doing P2 and P3.
There are some points where we'll be able to use downstab every frame on an enemy, so it's like every frame it will be active to do damage. So it's really, really good in certain cases, so really helpful that we got this.
Asking about, I know we were asking about donations earlier, and unfortunately we don't have any right now, but we do have a bid war coming up in a run and a half from now. If you want to see the Nitro tracks, which is the original tracks for Mario Kart Wii, over the retro tracks featured in the game, you can have that happen for $2.
$2.
Just $2 you can do that.
That's
Currently, it's in a lead by $1.67. 2 more bucks can change the tides of fate.
just like that spell. Like the magic words of the spell give us power. Jeff's giving us power.
I'm trying.
There you go. Thank you. Give some power to those bid wars as well.
Downstab makes it much easier to hit those tiny spiky enemies. You can do it without downstabbing them, but it's a pretty tiny hitbox.
Yeah. This makes things way easier. It's so nice. I like the downstab. It's so bad.
Being 100% run, we're going to get the life container there and get a big old refill out of that.
Definitely in classic Zelda fashion there, so.
A little bit of a pause buffer there to control the enemies. This is a very difficult walk here.
So we got a back spawn there, so I can go for the no encounter strat. Oh, they might not be happy though.
Oh.
Yeah, made it.
Nice. It might just look like, oh, he's just walking. What's the big? It's really, that's really hard. It's very precise. There's a step counter and everything. Like you have to be right in the right timing and everything, right spots. So very impressive stuff. Now we're in Blue Dungeon.
So on the Famicom version of the game, they actually have fewer dungeon palettes. So whenever I'm watching a Famicom speedrun of this, I have no idea what I'm watching. They also reuse a bunch of the level layouts, but change out the enemies. So it can get a little hard to follow at times what exactly is going on.
Got another jar there. Need some XP.
Yeah, we're already behind on experience, so having the jars keep coming up is gonna keep being a problem.
Yeah, just some bad luck, unfortunately. Riot's doing awesome. It's just the game's being like, not today. So
Yeah, it's a 50-50 chance based on a frame counter, but we're so deep in the run we couldn't possibly manipulate that. So
yeah. Speaking of Famicom Disc version, there's some interesting differences in it. Particularly if you get a game over, it'll reset all your levels to the lowest one, I believe. So then it's only if you had 865, for example, on your stats, it would, if you got a KO, you'd only be 5 at the end of it. So you'd have to grind to get them in. That's on the NES version, unfortunately.
yeah, the leveling is completely different on the Famicom version. Actually, so if you look, the leveling curves on this, if you notice at the beginning of the game, life is 50, magic is 100, and attack is 200.
Yeah.
In the FDS version, your first level up, regardless of category, is 50. Your second level up, regardless of category, is 100, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Which actually means that we leave Palace 1 at attack 5 or 6, I believe.
Wow, yeah.
But it also means it's really hard to get that magic up to the levels we need later. And again, you hit 811, you game over, you drop back to 111 because it goes to your lowest level.
Exactly.
That was a scary bot.
That was a little risky.
Yeah.
Those things don't behave.
Should've cast lightning before.
Casually living life on the edge.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Finally.
Yes,
Finally,
finally. Thank you, game.
The count was off by 1.
Can we get a clap for
Thanks for the pee bag.
Finally. Finally.
And that head statue always has a jar in it, I believe.
That one does, yep.
Our clapping will encourage the game.
I need someone to call out the never jar because I never remember which jar is the never jar.
Yeah, that's in Palace 3.
It's called the never jar because it's never a jar. So here's our first Tetris room. These blocks are RNG. And at this point, we can't break them. We have to just go through and try to minimize damage. Later on, we're going to be seeing those rooms again, and we're going to be having to wait for them to fill in enough for us to jump up and get a key. And now we got the glove. So now we actually can break those blocks. So going back will be a little bit safer. Although we're going fast, so it's not like we're waiting for them to build up. But I know the guys working on this damage list just lets a giant wall of them fill up and stab through.
Now that you have the glove, will you play this on the Power Glove rack?
If I had one, I would probably still not do it.
Good call.
And maybe a donation incentive.
Yeah.
That's 5.
With the all keys categories, you pretty much go through every room of the palaces except for Palace 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, the Great Palace has a lot of dead ends in it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the really cool things about this category. It's good to see so much of it, and we also get to see Shrek, well, just clear it so well, so you get, I don't know. I really like this category because of that, how much you get to see of this game from it.
I personally love watching this speedrun.
Yeah, same. It's super underrated for a Zelda game. Like, it's just a criminally underrated speedrun, and so definitely highly recommend learning more about it. Or just watching it here. That's a good idea too. There you go. Good job, you. Watching this.
We're a little short on XP.
Yeah.
That should be 2.
Game's just not being nice today. It knows it's a marathon, is like,
So, safety bag.
yeah, good call there.
They're getting close.
Here's what I'm going to do. I think my drop is at 3. I'm going to skip the orange guy. Take out the red one. Actually, no, this is enough.
Yeah.
This is enough.
Yeah.
This is my draw.
Another jar.
Jar.
I got 5 extra XP, 1950 is my
Yeah.
Here's Helmet Head. It's gonna go down pretty quickly.
Yeah. Not quite the experience we wanted coming into this, unfortunately, but this game.
So we take the experience from Helmet Head, we're gonna level that up, and then we're gonna skip past the next two. We're not gonna take 100, we're not gonna take
closest
150.
it's ever been.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
And now what's gonna happen here is when we place the gem, it's gonna go to up to 3,000, and we're gonna get that next attack level.
Apologies, so it did work out good.
Not by much.
Yeah. I
No.
was like, ooh, that's really tight.
And that was to draw the encounter on the path because it's faster than drawing it in the forest. And I'm gonna have to actually take this one. The experience only counts up when we're actually in a side-scrolling screen. And then because we've done most of our fetching, we gotta go back and get shield yet. I'm so used to watching early shield that I kind of forgot we gotta go get shield.
That's right.
Let me get the shield.
It
And
sets up this walk afterward, though. That's why we do it this route. You want to touch on that dude, maybe?
What's your favorite town in this game, Riiyak? Just out of curiosity.
My favorite town?
Yes.
Probably New Kasuto. Even though it's pretty slow, it's like the one that's hidden. It's the hardest to find, so if you found it, congratulations.
Yeah, you have to use a hammer to cut down a tree, which is like, who's thinking of that? So, yeah, definitely a cool town to find.
And now we got shield, which is the first spell most players will get both casually, and most speedrunners when starting out will get that spell first as well.
Yeah, definitely gonna be pretty important for us.
And it definitely gets used even among high-level players.
We got a back spot.
Yeah, it's good extra safety.
One extra step there, and then this is a no encounter walk.
Yeah, that's kind of what we were talking about, the step counter. That's how brutal it can be. Just one step, and it can throw things off with it. So then we also got fairy, so that's going to be a pretty important spell for us. We can use it just like that, turn into a fairy.
I'm going to do a lot of movement with that over the course of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. Hope you like the sound effects for it and everything, so. Very nice. Yeah.
Nice.
Alright, third palace here. Featuring the color red, of course, so.
We're gonna try and regain some of our levels here.
Yeah. So our experience in kind of a weird spot. We're definitely gonna hope for some more experience still. Riiak's gonna recover awesome, of course, though.
So we should be leaving the or fighting the boss at 633. You're gonna take a magic level and a life level during the palace here. Seems like you get enough XP here.
And does that get you all caught up from the attack 3 run?
Right, exactly. So that not getting the P bag in Palace 1 has led to this.
Yeah.
Oops.
That can show just how we optimize some of these early innings. Oh, okay. Just not being nice.
Take a life. Yeah, that was not great.
Just kind of trolling you a little bit. Kind of shows how optimized these early NES games can be. And well, how we're even still learning about it too, so. Very cool.
If you get the momentum just right on those jumps, you can clear those 3 blocked jumps. But if you don't quite have it, it's a very difficult jump to make, actually.
Yeah.
Like this little pit, we're gonna go back down into that pit, and it's hard to get out of that pit without casting jump, because it's hard to get the momentum to get up. You can do it, and the game will reuse that room pattern several times again. Saves a lot of memory,
Right.
or just the enemies that will be swapped around.
a lot of little things like that where it's like you might not catch it, but it's actually quite difficult stuff. So very, very cool in that regard.
And using jump here makes it safer to traverse because again, the bots. They put the bots on the tiny platforms with all the lava.
Yeah.
They don't hurt, but the lava does.
Good thing we have Air Jordans in our pocket.
And so now is that our first blue iron knuckle?
First blue iron knuckle, first jackhammer technique.
So because of the short ceiling, that was the one frame attack every frame that you mentioned earlier, and the blue iron knuckles are the ones that have their own sword beams.
Yeah. So that's just, that's one example of just how powerful down stack can be, so.
Alright, Never Jar is coming up.
Alright. Maybe it'll be a jar this time.
It won't be a jar this time.
Oh!
Yeah.
So why do they call it Never Jar again?
Maybe that's why.
Those little rat-looking enemies, they will spawn continuously and they don't give any experience.
Yeah. These
No.
ones give 5. Or the tin suits, I mean, yeah.
They do steal XP.
But casual players will run into them in Palace 1 and chipping through them gets really annoying really fast.
Speaking of casual players, highly recommend just trying this game and just seeing how difficult this stuff can be in this game. It's a difficult game, so.
It's on Switch Online, it's pretty easy to get your hands on.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got enough XP now for the big refill at the end. So don't gotta worry about anything else.
Good.
I'm keeping track of my large drop count, so count should be at 1. I'm gonna do a little corner strat here. If I stand on that pixel, bounce right up at the corner. If you're lucky, he'll just keep bouncing in the corner and you can bounce off his head. He wasn't super friendly that time.
And as our first Rebanak, he will be downgraded to mini-boss later in the run.
Alright.
And here we're gonna get our XP filled up all the way to 5,000, get attack 7. As if you do that casually, you might end up grinding a lot of these levels. So even if you're playing casually, it's not a bad idea to learn the speedrun leveling strats. It'll get you through a lot easier.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty handy to have.
Come on.
Toenail.
Yeah, I'm taking damage here and I really don't want to. But I also, based on where my count is, I don't want to kill those guys. They'll affect my large drop count.
If you've ever seen a Zelda 1 run, that game also has a count, but this one's much easier to deal with, thankfully.
Yeah. Zelda ones can be a little ridiculous. Look in the raft.
I believe that is the only thing the raft does the entire game.
That's right.
I hope all the raft fans.
But you need it to progress, because it's a Zelda game.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, this is probably the game that first codified you need the item to do this specific thing, even more than Zelda 1. Zelda 1 had a few of those, but...
Yeah.
Alright, so we're going to be doing a lot of walking here. And again, trying to minimize encounters, because there's a lot of time to be lost here.
So because I didn't have the beam sword in the cave, I had to turn back and get that Eggman coming down from the ceiling, and that affected the spawn pattern afterward.
Little pause buffering to help get through, though.
Yeah. A good adaptability with that.
Alright, so here, we're going to find young Dave. So here for Gooby. We found young Dave in the cave. So there's your archicism. I will leave the rest alone. But, yeah, there's a child in the cave. We have to take the child back all the way across the continent. and after we have after we've gotten everything we need out of the town, we gotta come all the way back here. So we're gonna try to avoid walks. First, we're gonna get another life, and then it's gonna be a little wait here. And when the frame counter says they spawn, we start going.
This is the Dazzle Walk.
Yep.
Yeah, runners call this area the Green Mile.
Yep.
Such a long walk.
And then in this mountain pass, there are 2 forced encounters, and we're doing these stabs to set up the timing such that when the encounters come up, they will come directly for us rather than wandering around. And that lets us walk onto the tile and again do the encounter skip because much faster than doing the actual encounter.
The reason it's called the Dazzle Walk too is named after a runner, Dazzle. So.
All right, here's the palette glitch. We got the light mode.
Yeah, that's a good color. Kind of like Frozen. Like.
So for this chimney, you're supposed to jump on the roofs and head over, but if you hold down while casting fairy, you can fly in and your crouch state is preserved, which lets you go down the chimney while being a fairy. That's called fairy claws.
It's the holidays in the summer.
And now we have another soldier with this secret arcane knowledge that, again, no one would ever figure out without being trained, that you could point your sword upward.
No, never.
So now we can move the sword in most directions. Not towards the screen. We haven't figured that out yet.
That's next level. We're working on that one. Top Zelda 2 scientists every day.
And now... There's one screen left.
Yep.
We gotta return the kid first.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm getting excited for the sign, that's my problem.
Yep.
So audience, when he reads the sign, I want you to shout out Mo, because we're going to read 3 letters off the sign, and it's going to say Mo. And what this is going to do is this is going to be like those sword stab buffers that we were doing earlier to get the spawns to go exactly where we want them to go.
When I'm getting those spells, by the way, I'm doing a really slight optimization by sliding into it so that when I finish turning around...
Mo!
Don't go too far.
Don't need to read all of it, just need to read Mo. Good enough.
Again, those stabs are the same kind of buffer. The guys come right for us. And now we hope.
Yep.
Fairies.
Oh, fairies.
They walked away, though.
Fairies are faster than other encounters, but they're more random.
All right.
No encounters.
Nice!
Alright, so now we are going to take the longest path through the maze, because if we take any other way, there's encounters everywhere.
Yeah.
There is one encounter we have to take. It's going to be right up here. Whee! And magic container.
Yeah, which is nice to find along the way.
Now we're coming up on Palace 4, the Wizrobe Palace, and if you've played any Zelda game, I know you love Wizrobes.
Oh, clearly. Quick little counter here.
Might not be a bad moment if we have any donations or announcements.
Yeah. Got anything to read, plug off, anything? Doesn't look like anything right now. Just going in the purple dungeon, which is the best color, of course.
The spell in the last town was Reflect, and we do need it to get through this dungeon. Again, this is a shocker. It's a Zelda game.
Yeah.
But the Wizrobes are going to teleport all over the place and fire little ground beams at us that we could only deal with if we cast Reflect or, run away. This is also the palace we're going to take a lot of death abuses. Because it's a heavily magic-dependent palace, and even more so than saving the time, what we really are concerned with is refilling our magic. So when we die, we get an entirely new set of magic. So these long rooms here, these are prime candidates for death abuse. So we gotta go all the way to the end of them, we gotta get a key. We're gonna check to see if we got a jar. If we get the jar, we're not gonna take a death abuse. But there's a good chance that Iron Knuckle will spawn out of that statue, in which case we go right in the lava.
Yeah. So that was kind of lucky, so I'm glad we got that.
I mean, we've been getting a lot of jars. Haven't always wanted them.
Yeah, that was the one time we wanted the jar, though.
I mean, the later in the run we get, the somewhat less we want the experience, somewhat more we want the jars. It depends on the exact situation.
Yeah. Jackhammer, very nice.
And the cowboy boots, 2 for 1 sale. Okay, I lied. There's another Arcus. But we got the boots. The boots let us walk on a select number of water tiles, and guess what? Guess what?
That's what? What?
Yeah, you need them to progress in the game.
Oh, really? I would never have guessed.
I mean, I gave you 2 chances.
You gave me 2 chances, I couldn't. We get a lot of shoes in this game. Maybe this game is actually about like shoe shopping. We got the Air Jordans, then we got some boots. So I wonder what else we're gonna get.
So this is the second log room.
Yeah.
Skipping that guy because of the counts. So since I got a jar the first time, you know what? This guy's gonna be back. I wonder if I can make it.
And if you're low on magic here, you can break the blocks to drop the fire down, but that takes more time.
Yeah.
Forgot the guy was still there. If I was coming back, I would have taken him on a way in.
Nice robes, gotta love them.
And you're never going to believe this, but they put the bots in a tight, hard-to-navigate space.
Wow, really? I never would have guessed.
So if this room pattern looks familiar, and the exact same key dig we did earlier looks familiar, it's because it's the exact same key dig we did earlier.
Is this deja vu?
These rooms we call the Minecraft rooms because they're all blocks. Everything has a name.
See, I find the true measure of a speedrun is when everything has a song.
Song and a name, yes. I just want to say I love the naming for so many things in this game. There's one after, I can't remember off the top of my head, but the
There's
things.
Scott Bakula.
Yeah, exactly, that's, yeah.
And let's not forget Max.
Yes.
Yep, Scorpion Max.
I have no idea why the Scorpion's named Max, to be honest.
Hey, Max. It's all the whole explanation. And there's where our upstab key. Well, literally.
So, I actually believe you can sidestab that block if you're precise about it.
Oh, can you really?
Yeah, do you need to cast jump to do that?
Yes. To do the no upstab block break for that block.
Oh, interesting.
So I do believe that because of that, upstab is not technically required.
Oh.
So if we get another jar here, I suppose we'll see if we get a jar. I get to decide whether I want to go after the boss with 1 bar health down. And if I do, there's a chance of trying for a deathless run.
So this is our third long room,
And it is.
and another
Alright.
jar.
Let's go.
Now, typically, if you were intentionally doing deathless, you would actually take a very different route, and one that includes no candle. You don't actually. Okay, this is gonna shock you. You don't actually need the candle to progress in the game.
Shocking.
You just have to do all of Death Mountain and all of the Valley of Death in the dark. someone here can do it, but it's not me.
Well, it's not me. Oh yeah, easy. Just do Death Mountain in the dark. What could go wrong?
A lot of things.
A lot of things. Very much so. A lot of
We
things.
can count up the Dairas, and that will be how many things can go wrong.
Exactly.
Alright, Kirok. The RNG boss.
So, I hope you practice this fight. This is the most technically complex fight in the game. Everything he's doing here is a frame perfect. No, though this boss is 100% RNG. You just sit in the corner until he dies, which can take a while.
Yeah.
It's not up to you.
You can spawn right on top of you. Yeah, like you did twice. There we go.
That was an excellent fight.
Nice.
And are you ready for the 7,000 experience gem?
I am ready for it.
So this will get us up to attack 8. From here, we are able to, the game will show attack 9 as an option at 9,000 experience. And we're going to use that to get 9,000 experience, but there is no attack 9. Attack 9 is an extra life. This is bad in the speedrun because we don't need that life, we need the magic and life levels. So we're going to exploit that, but if we take attack 9, it's a rite of passage for most Z2 runners to lose a run to taking attack 9. But we don't actually want to do it. We walked on the water right into Palace 5. We didn't go to any towns or anything, so I'm just going to get right in. If you liked purple before, no, now it's green, so too bad. If you like green, here's your palace.
It's okay. I miss the town of purple sky though.
And so here we have a trick called Eco Key. You're
Nice.
supposed you got it. So what you're supposed to do there is you're supposed to ferry up, go all the way to the end of this tunnel, turn out a ferry, and then go all the way back to get the key. But you can take jump. You can use jump. You can hit the bubble at the exact right time, and you can clip up there. Saves like 13 seconds. And it's a very advanced trick. A lot of the runners who I watch play this game don't get it very often. So these guys are called Magos. They are not Wizrobes, even though they look like wizards and they're in robes. They are not Wizrobes.
Right.
So here's another Tetris room, and we do need it to give us a couple blocks to get up there and get the key. And then we also need it not to clonk us on the head over and over again.
Yeah.
There's multiple games in this game. There's Tetris rooms, Minecraft rooms. It's a game of games.
Quick question. Is there a particularly challenging part of the run that might be coming up? Where there might be a lot of deaths?
Maybe Valley of Death, I don't know. Hopefully we can do it without dying.
Because I'd be willing to throw down $1 per death if that's the case.
Oh. We do only have so
If anybody wants to match that,
Oh.
they're welcome to.
There you go.
And I invite them to.
Might have to take some deaths then.
Might have to throw for content.
That sounds like a challenge to the audience too.
We could have a donation incentive to not die.
I like that one.
If you don't die at all, let's call it 25.
Okay, let's do it.
Alright, so he just clipped into the wall here. No, actually, this is, again, an intended strat. The game intends you to do this. You can't just walk directly to the wall. You do have to jump up. There is one square that you cannot walk through. I believe there is a hint for this somewhere, but good luck finding it, right?
Exactly. Super cryptic hints in this game.
But that is a wall that you are expected to walk through. I just realized I hope we get walking on life bars later. And there's the plunger to remove the hair clog in the river. It's actually the flute, but It does exactly one thing, and you need it to progress in the game.
Shocking.
There's a second thing. It opens up the Palace 6.
Oh. It does exactly two things,
That's two things.
and it is needed to progress in the game.
Yeah.
So I have exactly the right number of XPs to not have to take out any of the Magos. So hopefully they won't assault me at all. That's called swag key. If you don't touch the platform.
So much swag.
It's actually slower,
But it was swaggier.
but it's swaggy.
Exactly. It's the style points that matter, not the time.
Yeah, there's a time for PBs, there's a time for swag.
Exactly.
And it sounds like our XP is now well back on track, and we have the Magos available if we needed them, but don't need them.
I think we have this 8 attack, which is going to be super useful. You might have seen it with some of the Iron Knuckles, how much quicker we can defeat them now. It's so nice.
I wouldn't mind taking out one of the Magos because just so that I have enough XP. If you're really tight, then the boss kill and the key grab can be a little dicey. You just don't want too much because there's a leveling strat to try and get the level ups in the town. You save a little bit of time there. That's after this palace.
I can go into detail about that when it comes up.
If you have too much XP in this palace, then you can't do it. But we should be fine. There we go. That's the one I wanted.
I know that some players will go over the top to get this key, but we're just going right through.
Yeah, there's a multitude of different strats you can take like that, which is a pretty cool thing to see in this game.
Got a donation real quick.
Yeah.
$5 from Firebird Lover. I'll match your $25 if he goes deathless for the rest of the run.
Oh.
Okay.
All right.
Let's give it a try.
The heat is on.
That's $30 though. Okay. Thank you, Firebird Lover. Appreciate that.
And so here's the boss. This is Guma. He hits like a truck, and he's only vulnerable in his tummy. So we hop in and we just try to get through it as quickly as possible. He's actually not in the Famicom version of the game. It's just a refight. I forget of whom though.
Helmet Head,
Helmet Head, yeah.
which is the boss of the Swamp Palace, Palace 2.
So here's where we start talking about the manipulation we have. We have a lot of experience to count up. And we have to go walk over into a screen here. We're going to go pick up a heart container because we need it for 100%. But we don't want to let the experience actually kick in on this screen because it's faster in town. There's less fanfare. But the other thing we don't want to do is that we do not want to enter a screen transition when the level up box would appear because that is a frame perfect soft lock and run is over. So we want to be careful not to do that.
Yeah, definitely unfortunate to get a frame perfect soft lock.
And the reason we want to do this in town is because the fanfare is shorter and we just took 5 dialogues.
Yeah. Yep.
But you can see how much our levels are. We're at 866. We're going to end at 886. 100% does not require maxing out life as well. So here is the worst fetch quest ever. We're going to take the water out of the fountain and give it to this lady 10 feet down. The laziest NPC in history.
And riiak's favorite.
I mean, we spent all the game, like, we had to go in the cave to get a trophy. We had to go all the way across the continent to rescue the kid, and then this fetch quest is 5 feet of water.
Yeah, that's right.
And we do it for a spell that we barely use.
It's the best spell ever. It's the best quest and best spell.
It just feels like they gave up when they were designing the game. I was like, okay, we need another fetch quest because the rest have them. I don't know, man, get some water from the fountain.
Cool, done. Easy game. Let's go home.
Let's put it right next to her. It's the thing they'll least expect.
And that whelk sign is another buffering for the encounter, and we're gonna try to get the river walk here. So we use the flute to get rid of the guy and did not get it. We are trying to have those encounters stay out of our way long enough to get down to a tile down here so we can do another encounter
I
sketch.
should have waited.
Looks like we're just going for it. So these lizards throwing rocks at you, they're called Wilsons after Home Improvement. And we have, because we didn't get the skip, we have 3 screens of this, and they have dead-eye aim on this version. So typically use fairy to try to get through here quickly. If you stop, they will miss, but like they throw exactly where you're going to be when the rock will get to you. On the FDS version, I believe they cannot throw up, so you just go across the top.
Interesting.
Go on this bridge just to kind of reset the encounters. And again, we're going to try to get through here and try not to take any encounters.
One off.
So close.
And even though the forest tiles are the same forest tiles, the encounters in them are now much harder than they were in earlier forests.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is the one time in the game we use fire. And it's going to let us get rid of some of these Tektites here. I believe those are still Tektites. They sure look like it. There aren't many overlapping enemies between Z1 and Z2. I believe that's one of them, and I believe there are also ropes, which are snakes in Z1, and they look a little bit different in this one. All right, here we are in the forest. We're gonna take our hammer and chop down the trees somehow and reveal town of New Kasuto. We haven't seen Old Kasuto yet. We will, but long story short, it's not a place you want to be, so they all packed up, somehow ran through that cave full of monsters and hid themselves away on the coast. And I don't know how they got out here, but they did. And again, we're gonna climb down, there's a little basement in the chimney for some reason, and we're going to get something that, guess what? You need to progress.
Remember the magic word. I think that magic word is !donate. Maybe you should type that in chat and see what the magic word says and does.
So we got the most descriptively named spell in the game. It's the spell. And how do you spell the spell? You spell the spell. So we're gonna get our first usage of the spell here to reveal this really tall door. And this will be the magic key.
Stay hydrated, by the way. Just to everyone.
That's right. Normally I don't. I'm going to just take a refill here. 3 bars of health. We'll probably be fine, but
Good enough safety.
One more thing we gotta pick up on the way out.
I believe this is the only town where there are 3 items.
Now you have to have the first 7 magic containers to be allowed in here to get the 8th. And you also need to have all 8 magic containers to later get the Thunder spell, which is required to progress in the game.
Yeah.
So all the life containers are not mandatory. All the magic containers are mandatory to beat the game.
casually, anyway.
Oh.
In this category, they're all required, but yes.
Alright, well, we can get into Glitch Town, but that's a little bit of a different scenario. If you've never seen any percent, or better yet, a RBO run of this game, anything featuring Glitch Town, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Do some pause buffering here, and we're gonna get the last heart container. Now we're gonna go find this conspicuous rock outcropping. The second use of the whistle, and now we're gonna throw it away. And Magenta Palace.
Okay, color. That was good as the purple one. I'll take it.
Thanks, Miss Road.
Thanks, buddy. What's wrong? Shit.
Sometimes that throws off this room. Damage boost.
There are no keys in this palaces except for what the bosses drop, but riiyak picked up the magic key in Hidden Town.
So you need the magic key to progress as well.
Yes.
I'm shocked.
Shocking.
In Zelda 1, you don't need the magic key to progress.
Stats.
So this room pattern may look familiar. We've seen it before. But this time we are hoping to never go down that first pit. So this next room is a big old trap. There's a giant hole in the floor here that we're going to leap over. It is known as the Canada hole because in a race, a bunch of Canadian runners fell down the hole. So we are going to try not to go to Canada. It would be less bad to go there on the way back because it comes out that little stair step. If we go in it going forward, we're backtracking. At least if we fall in it on the way back, we're kind of going the way we wanted to go. But it's not a good room to be in. It's full of really nasty enemies. And now we got the cross. The cross is going to be necessary to see a bunch of ghostly enemies later in the game. And if you can't see them, again, this one you don't actually need again. You can get through things without this theoretically, but you're going to get hit by things you literally cannot see.
It's a little bit like the Eye of Truth, not Ocarina of Time.
Yep. Even without the candle in the dark rooms, there are tells for where the enemies are. There are not tells for where the hidden Moas are.
Yeah.
We didn't get a magic refill there, so we're gonna have to take the fire room a little slow.
So riiyak was going for a red jar and a statue, but he didn't get it. So he'll need to be careful not hitting any of the skull bubbles coming up, which drain magic.
And thanks to our wonderful donators, we don't have the option of taking a death abuse.
Right.
So it looks like we are not walking on life bars.
Nope, not today.
There is a trick you can do where you can, when you fall into that room, you can land on the ceiling, and you are walking through the life bar area. And those enemies are positioned just to knock you into all the pits.
It's a common theme. The design of this game is
Yeah, big
knock you in the
surprise.
face.
Well, this game doesn't really pull punches.
No.
I got a giant lava pit to go try to ferry over. This would have been a prime candidate for a death abuse if we needed one.
Speaking of, we just got an anonymous $10 donation that says they'll throw down another 90, making it an even 100, if you can continue to go without a death.
Wow.
No
Okay.
pressure.
And he freed the bubble.
Free the bubble. Alright.
Doesn't do anything. Just swag. So here's our first of 2 Riiyak refights in here. And we got one more of those horse riders coming up yet.
That was the second.
That was the second one, yeah.
Oh, wow, I'm apparently asleep. Okay, so we will never see him again.
It went by so fast.
So fast, exactly.
So on the right of that screen is another extra life. So if you are behind in the run, you can go get that life and take a death abuse if you're behind in magic or something. But when you fall there, you have to cast fairy. You can't make it into that tunnel otherwise. And here's the boss of Palace 6, Barba. He's a dragon. And we got the one cycle.
Yeah.
There is a super fast, super risky jackhammer strat for him. It's a great way to take a lava bath, so probably not the ideal situation for a marathon.
Yeah.
Got another one in.
What?
$25 from Trav White. I said $25 for Ceiling Walk. I lied. Here's 25 anyway.
Thank you, Trav.
Thanks, Trav.
Thanks, Trav. Also the file name, Trav. Thank you, Trav.
That's right.
So we did not take attack 9. Just another chance to mess it up. We do want as much magic as we can because it's going to make the Thunderbird fight easier. So that purple guy, if we didn't have the cross, we couldn't see him. He could still hurt us, but we couldn't see him. And then in this abandoned, cursed town of Old Casto, we're going to find the old man in the bottom of the basement here, and he's going to teach us those powerful magic.
So now we got everything. Now we can just go and beat the game.
We are in go mode.
Yep.
Deathless go mode.
Deathless go.
Yeah, Deathless
that's
Go
right.
mode.
Don't remind me.
So yeah, everybody in that town escaped the ghosts, crossed this bridge, went through the forest, went through that cave. Why aren't they doing all this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would think if
It's the hardest enemies in the game, too.
exactly
Or in all of Hyrule.
they could do all that, they could defeat Ganon and prevent him from getting resurrected again.
Let's try for the skip here.
You're good.
So we have a nasty encounter here that we want to skip, and we got it.
Nice.
It's another Wilson wall, and on the far right edge of this is the Valley of Death that we entered. We're gonna see a lot of these encounters. There's a jar refill on the far right edge, and there's a situation where if you miss that skip and you want to go do it again, if you then get the skip, normally that jar will despawn, and a lot of runners need that jar to progress through here because this is brutal.
Yeah.
So you actually have to walk a little bit to the right so that the screen scrolls, and then walk back left in order to keep that jar from despawning. We not only got the skip, we didn't even take the jar, so it's all moot. So what am I talking about? But it's another interesting bit of tech in a lot of runs in this game.
Come on. There we go.
Decided not to be nice to you.
So I've heard you should not upstab the coconut. Oh, that's Max, by the way.
That's Max.
We just rode him.
Hi, Max.
And we just rode over him. He can't be damaged like that, but, you know, we don't care. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna go get out of here.
Alright, good Valley of Death.
And we're also managing the experience at this point because our next and final level up is a magic level up, and we're going to want that for a refill. So that's why this lizard is going to survive. And we have we've placed all 6 crystals so the barrier goes away instead of murdering us. And we're in the Great Palace.
That was a no damage Valley of Death, so we're now in Deathless no damage mode.
Thanks, buddy.
And that enemy is called a spicy chicken, and they are annoying. So these bots in that column here are a cue that there's a pit there. We don't want to fall in that pit, and it's not useful. It's actually very bad. This game likes its invisible, or its pits that don't look like pits.
It loves to throw you into pits in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's false walls and It's an NES game, basically.
Exactly. It's NES hard.
That's right.
So this pattern of room we're going to see a couple more times as well. This is the nicest of the rooms like this that we're going to see, so keep that in mind. And here's our first Boca. Yes, that's actually what they're called. But the Bird Knights, they jump up, they throw beams, they are rude. They don't even give that much experience for what they are.
Yeah, they just want to be mean. Just leave minus.
Oh,
No.
We didn't wait for the experience number to show up, so we didn't get any experience from him.
Yeah.
Alright, so I didn't get the drop yet, so it's at least 3.
So there's a chance for a jar in there, and we didn't get it. If you're learning the run, you could go down the elevator, come back up, and you can try again, repeatedly. You can farm a jar there if you need to.
Yeah.
It's 50-50 chance, which means it'll take you 10 tries.
Exactly.
Alright, so is this Scott Bicula?
That's got Bicula.
So, yep.
That jump is called the quantum leap.
Yeah, use the jump spell to get high enough that he can't chase you.
riiyak is avoiding killing more enemies, and because he wants to level up at the right time.
Come on.
Wow.
Very non-compliant Bird Knight there.
Yeah.
Need him to get behind us so we can go on through. So, if you go to the right there's a fairy. If you go to the left, there's a 1-up. We don't need either of them, but again, backup strats if you need them.
Right. Just nice to have. I bet you need it.
Alright, got it. Alright, so we're gonna go into the final boss with 3 bars.
So here's another thing you're supposed to figure out. 5th or 6th block, and you can fall through. And now, wait for it, squish. There's the King Bot. This is another common room to take a death abuse if you need it to refill your magic. We have done a very good job of conserving magic, I'll say that.
Since we're coming to the final boss soon, what is the final boss goal at? Without the side cheese
I
one.
thought we hit that like 2 hours ago.
Did we?
Did we? Oh boy, I have to do that without giving hits.
So this is Thunderbird. So as soon as he appears, we're casting Reflect. We're also casting Shield and Jump, but the other thing that a lot of people don't notice on this is we cast Reflect, which A, shrinks his hitbox, or shrinks Link's hitbox, and B, makes it so that his shield can actually reflect the fireballs. But that was a very quick kill. I didn't even get to talk about Thunderbird and what to do with him. But
So we gotta fight this straight up then?
we gotta fight this straight up,
Without dying.
without dying.
Without dying.
Alright, well, let's go for it.
So there's a strat where you can just go sit in the left corner and let him come to you and poke at him, and that's the side cheese or the corner cheese.
Yeah.
But you paid money, so we get to. It's actually a very tough fight to do, properly.
Come on.
Oh.
Sorry. He was not behaving that time.
Okay, that's a hard fight, especially like 3 bars of health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this time we have enough magic to cast refills if he's going to be uncooperative,
Yeah.
and still a 1-death run. Considering it wasn't planned to be a deathless run in the first place, that's
Yeah.
very impressive.
Definitely.
Let's blame Trav for that death.
Yeah, thanks, Trav.
Thanks, Trav.
Is he gonna give me the damage list now?
Oh, we got a damage list. Oh.
There we Yep. Yep, sorry about that.
So I didn't see any deaths, so I think everybody should pay up, right?
I think so too. You know, there was that magic word, in the dungeon that they gave us. Maybe exclamation mark donate.
That's right.
There we go. We get to see Triforce here, and we'll see the Zelda here. You saved Hyrule, and you are a real hero. And curtains, Mario Brothers 3 style,
And scene.
and scene.
Yep.
Aw.
The end. All right. Well, that was Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, the direct sequel to Zelda 1. We didn't accommodate Ganon's minions, so.
Yep.
So thanks everyone. Thanks Midwest Speed Fest for having us. Thank you for commentators. Excellent job. Thank you very much.
No problem. It's a pleasure commentating for you, Riiyak.
Yeah. Any last words?
Say the magic words and exclamation mark donate.
There you go. Donate. Donate.
Here lies Andy Pepperoni and Cheese.